Hi, my name is Alina George, and today with me we've got Thomas Beatty. Thomas, how long have you been working at the FAA?
I started working with the FAA as a contractor, in fact, back in 2010. And then about a year and a half later, I transitioned over and came on the Fed side.
And what do you do on the
I'm
Fed side?
a program manager in the FAA. So I work with the UAS integration office. And what we do is we have a partnership for safety program where we work with industry on coming up with solutions for integrating UAS into the national airspace system. So my job is to work with those industry partners, figure out how to build a strategy, a program schedule, and then make things happen or bring everyone together to achieve those goals and objectives.
Wow, that's really interesting. How did you get there? What is it that you studied?
Interesting story. When I was in high school, I was one of those kids that did not want to go back to school. I joined the Air Force in 1989. Spent quite a bit of time in the Air Force, loved it. Had a great career, met some great people. And one time while I was actually going to go on a temporary duty assignment, I was sitting in the back of a cab and I was looking at an airport and I said, what does it take to run that? So I found out that there was a degree program through Embry-Riddle, and I went signed up for school just a couple weeks later, and then started going back to school. And what was interesting about that is, unlike where you have to study certain things, once you get to college and once you start looking at what you want to study, the kid who didn't want to go back to school in high school became the adult who wanted to learn more. So that resulted in me getting 4 degrees. I,
Wow.
I have received 2 undergraduate degrees or 2 associate's degrees through the Community College of the Air Force. I studied logistics and then I studied aviation resource management. And then for my bachelor's, I studied with Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, and my degree is in professional aeronautics, which is Bachelor of Science program. But I also received a minor in aviation safety and business management. And it was pretty funny because my counselor was like, okay, Mr. Beatty, you need to pick something and then stop. Because I'd racked up quite a bit of credits, but I was having fun studying what I was learning. And then I was learning how that airport environment works and how safety works and how many different minds it takes to make all that come together. And then later on, towards the end of my Air Force career, I retired. And then I wanted to learn how to bring all of those people together and manage that. And that was great because at the time I was working for the FAA as a contractor. I was beginning to lead some teams and learning how to manage the projects, the individual projects that these teams were working on, put me in a position where I can manage programs where you have different teams. You have your aeronautical engineers, your physicists, and everything working on different components of aviation and bringing them together to come to a result. So that was really exciting, and everything just seemed to fall into place after that.
That's great. And sorry, one more question. Why UAS? What brought you to AUS?
That's an excellent question, and I love telling this story. When I heard about the job opening in UAS or in AUS a couple of years ago, the first thought that came to my mind, I've always been one to be at the tip of the spear. And there's nothing more exciting than discovering something new. That's one of the great things about learning, or especially the sciences. You're always learning something new. So when I heard about the position in AUS, the first thought that came to my mind is going back to the 1960s. And my dad, who was a project manager, got to work on some of the space programs. I wondered what it would feel like to be one of those people that when President Kennedy said, we're going to the moon within the next 10 years, I wanted to know, can you
What
imagine what
that
it would
felt
feel
like?
like to be one of those people that are part of that? And that's where we are with UAS integration right now. We're exploring new horizons. We don't have the answers. A lot of people expect the FAA to have all the answers in the book on everything aviation. We don't, but the aviation community does. And so coming into this organization gives me the ability to reach out and meet all of them, or many of them, have those discussions. How do we avoid other aircraft? What are some safe ways that we can integrate UAS into the NAS? And what are the challenges? So each day I turn on my computer and there's a new challenge in front of me. So it's something new and something to tackle every day. So it's very exciting.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, Thomas, and have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks. You too. Catch y'all soon.